your source for all things Texas Tech. This is the Ask Level podcast from the Double T Sports Network.
Two straight losses for Texas Tech basketball. How will the Red Raiders respond? In today's episode, we talk about the Red Raiders' recent struggles, Christian Anderson's surprise scratch. We'll take a peek at the 2026 Tech football schedule, and we might even find out Chris Level's favorite Super Bowl memory. The Ask Level podcast, as usual, brought to you by our friends at Cantex Roofing and Construction. Alongside Chris Level, I'm Chois Woodman.
This is Mike Hebert, the proud owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. We've been serving West Texas for all of your residential and commercial construction needs for the past 9 years. We would love the opportunity to earn your business. Together, we are one serving you.
Level, well, this is a little different than the last time we talked after Texas Tech had won 5 consecutive conference games, and now 2 losses in a row feels a bit different.
Yeah, they, I can't remember if I've said this before, but it's always the best way to describe being in the Big 12 on the basketball side of it.
Mm-hmm.
My storm analogy.
Yeah, I heard you say this. Actually, I've heard you say it before, but I heard you say it on the broadcast.
And it's the truth. I mean, it's just the best way to describe the league that you're in. You're either coming out of a storm,
Yep.
You're in a storm, or you're heading into one. And right now, you're in the middle of a storm. That's just the reality of it. This league is unforgiving. And you're dealing with a little adversity here, and only Arizona has been able to kind of push through, and they've got some tough ones coming up, but so far that they are unscathed. And obviously Houston, you've given them their only adversity, but yeah, you're kind of dealing with it right now, and it's for different reasons. The UCF game, look, it was you're coming off of your midweek bye. Did you get lulled to sleep? We had all this winter weather around here. You've got all these new players being now available, and are you trying to incorporate those guys back into it. Did any of that play into it? I don't know. Or did UCF just come out and kind of want it more than you did? I think it was probably the latter. And Grant even admitted as much after the game, in that he said, well, we should have had more physical practices this past week. I just didn't. I thought I had our guys ready. I didn't, and all those things. And you kept it close, but they just controlled the whole game. And then the game versus Kansas, you feel cheated a bit in that.
Yeah.
It was Kansas that came in with a lot of drama.
Yeah.
And yet it was Texas Tech that had all the drama and totally unforeseen. And
Sure.
With Christian Anderson, is my understanding, and about half an hour before tip, that there was an issue and he didn't play. So I think that there was some thought that maybe he'll play, we'll get reevaluated, let's warm him up, but let's see if he's feeling it. Let's just, and it never happened. And yet, because Woodman, JT Toppin is an award winner. JT Toppin is really good. But if you want to talk about importance,
yeah,
the straw that stirs the drink, the head of the snake, any phrase you want to use, this is number 4 in your heart and in your program. And Christian Anderson makes it all go. He is as vital to your machine as any player in the country, in my opinion, with their respective team. And I thought, well, this is going to be interesting, because I've even had the question myself, like, okay, when you do finally choose to rest him for a couple of 3 minutes, who's in charge? Who's running the show? Is it Petty? Is it Lawan? Is it Jazz? And you saw a little bit of all 3 of that
Yeah.
versus Kansas in a big Monday, nationally televised, juiced up game, and you fought like crazy. It wasn't pretty. You
Yeah.
fought like crazy, but it just, yeah.
I thought the way that I think it was with you after the game, Coach McCaslin talking with you was the way he put it was apt. The fight was there. The fight was exactly where it needed to be. The execution wasn't, and that's what I think where it. I mean, that's where
Yeah,
we
you
come
just
up
get,
short.
but that's why Christian is just a maestro. He's
Sure.
the conductor that he puts his decision making. He puts guys in the right spots, gets them the ball where they want. You play off of all of it,
Hmm.
and he's just a guy that makes everybody's life easier.
Yep.
Grants, JT's, Donovan Atwell, all of it, and he because all you need to know about how good Christian is Kelvin Sampson at the times that you've played Houston is like
Yeah.
I I'm going to choose not to really let him play today.
Right.
Like they're going to have to do this without him, and that's about as healthy of a compliment as you can give somebody.
Yeah.
So anyway, you come up short, and it's just yeah, frustrating. What what sums it up? I mean, Grant really talked about the shots that Peterson hit at the end, but
Yeah.
it's stuff like a 3-point lead, you win a
Mm.
challenge, and you get the ball, and you inbound it,
Mm.
and it was stuff like that. You're like, oh no, because that's when you thought you're just kind of hanging on and.
Yeah.
And that's what led to the shot that would tie it, and then you give up the eventual game winner, and it's just like,
And that, I mean, you're on the cusp of feeling like you're absolutely stealing a win right there without Christian Anderson. I mean, you'd be stealing a win away from the number 11 team in the country, and you're that close. So for that moment to happen, and then it took Peterson to go hit those two shots too, and in large in part, you held him in check most of the night, so it was kind of compiles on to more frustrating because Donovan Atwell guarded him very well. He's foul baiting the entire night, and then he hits those two because he's the number one
yeah,
pick in the upcoming draft.
this was arguably the worst game he'd played all year,
Yeah.
and yet nobody will remember it that way
Nope.
because he won the game. He hit two unbelievable shots. Um, Clutch component. I don't know how whatever you want to do, but I thought Atwell is the epitome of a 3-and-D player, and I thought he did really well. Made
Yeah.
him, and I thought to your point, I thought Darryn Peterson was just kind of throwing his body into people, trying to draw fouls and looking at the referee and all that. And the crazy thing about the whole thing is that we mentioned that Kansas came in with all the drama. I mean, and he's the reason.
Yeah.
He hasn't finished but one other game the entire season. And of course, he plays 35 minutes. Zero wink wink cramping issues
Yeah.
in this one, and it didn't look like there was any issue whatsoever.
No load
And
management going on last
no,
night.
yeah, no.
Yeah.
And but yeah, easy to see why the NBA folks are like
Sure.
like to get my hands on that young man.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was, I mean, if you're into, you want to play a victim or anything, it felt like the deck was stacked against Texas Tech as soon as it goes from Christian Anderson out there to Darryn Peterson, playing a full game for the second time, like you mentioned. And yet you still fought to keep it close enough. This isn't about moral victories, but I think one thing I've learned is to never question the fight of a Grant McCasland coach team.
And that's what made this past Saturday so bizarre
Yeah,
because it
agree.
was a rare exception
Yep,
to where they were a step slow. I mean, Grant uses all the grit terms and
yep,
toughness terms and all these things, and that's just what this league requires. And when you don't have it and the other team does, and they've got talent to go with it, and a hostile crowd with that, and yet you were still, pretty close in that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're in the middle of a storm, man. And
Yep.
so, because you've incorporated in the last, say, couple of weeks, you've incorporated Josiah Mosley back into the mix. You've incorporated Luke Bomboye back into the mix.
Yep.
You have now played a game without Christian Anderson. And so what's it all going to look like a month from now when maybe you've got some body of work with everybody, you've got more of a rotation and all those things. And
Yeah.
yeah, so because I think that loss stung, man.
It did.
That's a resume opportunity that you're not going to get back. And now, theoretically, you probably drop a seed line or two because you don't get that win. You may now be potentially locked into playing on Wednesday of the Big 12 tournament because you lost that one. I mean,
You
that's
know,
just kind of the,
you, you almost
you
have to
know,
go steal one somewhere else on the road to
right?
make up for
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah, and I wouldn't put it past Grant's teams at all to figure out a way to go pull off, and these will be. So
Yeah.
I'm very clear. If you go to Tucson or Ames or Provo, these are
Hmm.
going to be an upset.
Yep.
Um, but maybe you have all your pieces and you're in tune by then, and you're hitting your stride and all that. Because Grant kind of was asked about this after the game, and I knew why the question was being asked because I think you can pocket this experience and use it for the greater good as much as it sucks right now,
Hmm.
and understand that this is this is part of the journey, and you don't know where that journey takes you, or
Sure.
you don't want to have to learn or live through this lesson, but maybe it pays a dividend or two down the road. So I don't know, but I think that, yeah, you got a lot of meat left on the bone, man.
Sure.
And yeah, that one stung because I think that you kind of show. I'm just gonna say, I'd be willing to bet you that most people felt like you showed up to that arena, you were beating Kansas, and
Yeah.
maybe easily, and it's not how it works.
No, it's not. I will say my confidence level in getting a win plummeted when I found out when I see
Well, yeah, but
Christian
nobody shows up to
Anderson's
the
not
arena
there.
knowing that, right?
No,
Yeah,
no, you don't. And I
yeah.
think so. To wrap up on the Christian Anderson stuff, then we have some questions regarding basketball. So it sounded like the way Coach McCaslin described it to the media last night. It sounded like, I mean, he had no clue that
It is my understanding that about a half an hour before the game is when they first became aware that
right.
he may not go. I think there was an attempt in the first half in the back gym
Yeah.
to get him warmed up, to get him ready to go, to see, and he made an appearance in the tunnel. He kind of was out there, early in the at halftime or late in the halftime, I guess, to kind of warm up, and the crowd reacted, but he didn't look right physically, or his his facial expressions. He's a pretty even keel guy, but you could just tell, okay, yeah, this doesn't look good. But when Jazz Henderson came back into the game in the second half, that's when I knew that, okay, this is unlikely. To Grant's point, Woodman, there was no opportunity to draw up a plan to go, hey, let's figure out that you just kind of were like, okay, JP, you're up. I mean, and
Yeah.
so because like in basketball terms, you with a guy like Christian, you would put next to him high usage player.
Yeah.
He's involved in everything,
I
everything
mean,
you're doing, and yet, so it's like I think a lot of people were, operating in situations that they have never been in before. And I thought that it didn't look pretty and it was disjointed at times, but for the most part, I thought you grinded and had a chance.
I mean, it's kind of like rolling up to If Joey McGuire's rolling up to the football stadium and finds out 30 minutes before that his quarterback can't go, it's
Yeah, but I don't even know if that's analogy that I would say is because like you have a Will Hammond or you did last year,
sure.
and yet there is no other Christian Anderson. I mean, there just
Right.
doesn't. And like in football, you could still say, hey, you
Still have
still
your
got a
back.
really good defense and all that. No, this cat, he's involved in everything you're touching, man. And he wasn't coming off the floor in recent weeks, man. I mean, he's playing a full 40. So what do we run on offense? Well, Christian would do this. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, so it's just, yeah, and it's just the sports, man. It's life. But
It
I wish I
is
knew it's just bad luck too. Bad luck.
very poor timing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Depending what happened there. All right, let's get a few basketball questions before we scatter from there. This question says, Level, why did Toppin struggle so much against KU? Was it an off night,
Oh,
missing
Flory Badunga.
Anderson, or both?
Flory Badunga owned him.
Okay.
Yeah, Flory Badunga. So this is one of the few teams that has a defender. They don't choose to double team, because I think Badunga is such a good defender. They're one of the few teams that's like we're going to attach ourselves to your 3-point shooters, and we're gonna play it straight up. And I think and Flory, I think JT would tell you, Flory told him about it all night. I mean, he was, because they were jawing back and forth, and JT was getting frustrated and
Yeah.
talking back, and there was some physicality, and they were fighting and wrestling, and JT got a few early fouls. In
Yeah.
that, but I think Badunga is one of I think he came into the game with 56, 57 block shots.
Yeah.
He finishes with two or three, but how many did he alter?
Plenty.
He's a physical, and you can see why Badunga is a bona fide NBA dude, and you can see what JT's limitations are at the next level.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's look. I love JT. He's a phenomenal college basketball player, but there's a reason that he hasn't, and he'll bounce back. But I mean, let's see. He was. Yeah, he was 5 of 18, man. That's not just an off night. That's the other guy affecting you, and then you are speeding up, slowing down, trying to get, getting it blocked. I mean, and part of it is too, you're missing your setup guy. You're missing the guy that can get you the ball where I want it, where, and like, they could focus more on JT. But I guarantee you, JT would tell you how important Christian Anderson is
Yeah.
to to the whole cog.
Yeah.
So, I don't say off night as much as and we can play that card if we want, but I think Flory Badunga deserves some flowers here for the job that he did on JT, and he did it on AJ Devansa the game
True.
before.
True.
So
Yeah. I mean, and to your point, 5 of 18 for Toppin. You go 23 of 72 as a team in this game,
yeah, just
32% from the field. That's just not. I mean, and again, what's crazy is you still were right there.
had a 3-point lead with a minute and a half
You're
to
two
go.
shots away from winning that
Yep.
game, even though
Yeah.
you're that poor offensively. Um, this one comes from this one's from Jackson. It says, Level, where does Darryn Peterson rank amongst the players you've called games against?
I mean, I've seen the comparisons. I think he is going to be picked high. He to me he wasn't. I mean, I've heard some folks go the Michael Jordan route, like reputable people. I'm just kind of laugh at some of that. I don't know what to make of the whole because you can't not talk about the kid without getting into the whole load management or cramping or whatever the bizarreness that's been going on there.
Sure.
Um, but as far as like talented and like, he's got it. We just happened to see him on a night where I think that you played him pretty well, and I didn't like some of the, just trying to draw fouls and flopping and looking at the official and all that. But then
Right.
you see the greatness there at the end, where it's like there's just not many dudes that have come in that building that can hit shots like that, and he hit two of them. Very similar to Kingston Fleming's at Houston. It was almost carbon copy. A big three to kind of tie it, big three to take the lead, I mean, I was like, and this is why these are two of the top five players in the country. And you can't give them any space. And why Grant was so frustrated with like, we can't let him get a catch at that point, and and yet that's what happened. But yeah, I think around Lawrence, I think that there's some thought that Bill Self is basically said that it's the best that he's had there since Paul Pierce, which is again also a mouthful. So, yeah, some of these guys that's three straight home games, three straight top five picks, and three straight guys that won't ever play in that building again.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, when's the last time you could ever say that? Well, I'm gonna tell you, never.
All freshmen too.
Yeah, that's right, all freshmen. But these are three top
You
five
know,
players in any mock draft you'll see.
between Peterson, Flemings, and what was it, Walter Clayton Jr. last year, I'm about sick of all these late threes in games that are by these great players that are daggers.
Yeah.
Um, here's a fun one. It says, Level, is there a worse fan base currently in the Big 12 than Kansas basketball?
Like as in what do you I mean
Worse,
what,
like I assume it means like hardest to tolerate fan base out there than Kansas basketball fans in the Big 12.
I mean the, there's some it's not near as bad as it was. I think they've been humbled in some recent years, but there's a level of look, I'll say this. Your building wasn't full last night. It wasn't. I was surprised to see that. The student section wasn't full. The regular thing wasn't sold out, which the one thing you can say about the Kansas game, I mean, they've sold that thing out, and I've been there 10 times. They put 16,000 plus in there, whether they're playing Lindenwood or
Yeah.
Texas Tech. I mean, they're passionate. That's what makes it fun. There's a level of arrogance there, and like we invented this sport, and there's no better place to go get a win at than that place because of that fan base.
Yep.
I probably understand that, maybe if there's some Twitter trash talk going on, I don't know why somebody would be saying the Kansas fan or asking about that, but the Tech fan base, they're fairly mouthy. I mean, in fact, I woke up to a lot of the videos of the student section kind of calling Darryn Peterson some stuff, and yeah, unfortunately, didn't
Hmm.
exactly go well. But yeah, I mean, I don't like Kansas. I think that I enjoyed the drama with their football meltdown
Hmm.
this past trip here because of the pocket knife thing and all that stuff. But they're needed too. This is what makes some of the Big 12 the Big 12.
Sure.
If you didn't have tech students chanting at opposing players and being boisterous, if you didn't have the arrogance of the Kansas fan base, the Big 12 would be nothing. Like you'd be a cold dead fish, like some of these new schools that have showed up in the conference that just don't bring anything to the table.
Right.
So I'll just leave it at that. How about that?
Works for me. A question from Brandel says, what piece of the game for this basketball team needs to be figured out in order to be an elite contender?
Well, the hitting on all cylinders piece, right? That's the ultimate goal. But if you have everybody available, if you continue to improve defensively, and then you've got to have that extra gear to where you have some want to you.
Yeah.
That's what you're searching for. You've got plenty of time to try to achieve that, and if we've Grant's teams typically there's one constant wherever he's coached, they get better as it goes,
Hmm.
and they typically will peak at the right times. In his first year here, Warren Washington got hurt in Orlando, didn't
Right.
appear, missed of what 4 or 5 weeks, didn't appear again until you played NC State and Pittsburgh. That
Yep.
didn't go well. Last year you're doing it kind of shorthanded, and Chance McMillan misses the tail end Darryn Williams, but you just hope that this is not one of those cases to where you just would like to have some of your, you know, I say some, all of your pieces at your disposal to kind of give it a true go. But that sports sometimes has a funny way of, you know, saying hello. I guess just like your most important player getting sick half an hour before the game.
Mm,
But yeah, I think I think the biggest thing is, can Tyree Bryan continue to play important minutes? Can Josiah Mosley continue to get incorporated? Can Luke Bomboye continue to get incorporated? And then can Christian and Donovan and JT and Lawan all maintain? And it's a slippery slope a little bit.
sure.
Working all that together and not, so we'll see. We'll be on this ride together, and we'll see kind of how it goes. But you still, I mean, again, it's as we're sitting here talking, it's February the 3rd.
It
You
is.
are you are 5 or 6 weeks away from Kansas City, and then what else happens after that? But yeah, long way to go here.
Feels like a long way. It'll be here before we know it,
Oh
too.
no,
I
there's
mean,
no
it
doubt.
flies. It
There's no
flies.
doubt. Yeah.
As we wrap up basketball, you got West Virginia road trip to Morgantown, and this one's one of those sneaky ones that I think obviously Coach McCaslin and company have full attention of his team after losing 2 games in a row, but this is still never an easy place to play.
No, it's not. And there's obviously some time off between it.
Yeah,
Weird stretch in the schedule in that you play on a Saturday, then you don't play again until the following Saturday. Then you have like boom, boom, you've got this Saturday, Monday, and then you don't play again until the following
Sunday.
Sunday, which
Yeah,
is the case here. So it's like basically like 2 games in the span of like, what is that, 12 or 13 days, or whatever it is. Um, yeah, this one, I would have been worried about it. I don't think I'm necessarily worried about it now. If you go lose this one, you got real problems.
sure.
Like, I'm not saying panic button problems, but it's like, okay, this is trending the wrong way, and then kind of a first in the Grant McCasland era if you were to drop 3 in a row.
Yeah,
I would assume that you can get Christian back and healthy by that time because I think it's just an illness with some rest and all those things. The storyline here, though, will be Grant McCasland and Ross Hodge. I mean, that's the lead. Ren Baker, the athletic director, knows both of these guys. I think technically hired both of these guys, one at North Texas and then another one at
true.
West Virginia. This is uh, what mentor mentee. This is whatever phrase you want to draw from. Ross Haas, a really good coach. I think he's got a bit of a roster that I think can jump up and bite you. They beat Kansas there, but then they drop one to Baylor and lose by 10
Yep.
in Morgantown. So it'll be kind of a grind, but it's an important one for Texas Tech now. I mean, like it is the you just don't have that many games left, and while you're firmly like in the tournament, you're like these are, you can't mess around with some of this stuff, and so we'll see. But nothing's a given. I say I'm not worried about it, in that I don't. I just think that West Virginia will get your best shot. How about that?
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
There's scales to the worry, how much you're
Right.
concerned. This is not the higher level. All right, level.
And so while you're sitting there rooting for your favorite, I don't know whether you're a Patriot or a Seahawk pick, but while you're sitting there consuming Bad Bunny at halftime and all that, I'll be on an
Eh,
airplane. I'll be on an airplane missing all of it. So I
I
know
bet
you're.
you'll have it pulled up.
No, we don't. It's not the same setup
Oh, okay.
as the football plane. If that's what you're hinting at, there's no Wi-Fi on the way we travel with basketball.
Oh man.
Third world problems, right?
Right.
But yeah, noted Bad Bunny enthusiast Choice Woodman will have to fill me in on the halftime show and the Seahawk Patriot game after it's all over.
Well, level will take in the Chris Rock show so he can tell us how that one goes instead. The
What? Okay, what did I miss?
there's an alternate halftime show that someone's putting on that's like
Okay,
alternate out
and
there. So
Chris Rock is doing it.
Chris Rock, what did I say? Kid Rock.
Oh yeah, you said Chris Rock. I'm like,
I
man, we
was
got a
no,
comedy
if it
show.
was yeah, I would actually go straight to the Chris Rock show if that
Okay,
was
yeah. I was like, yeah, man.
no.
I don't need a halftime to enjoy some comedy. There,
No, I'm
Chris Rock,
always in
yeah,
for
he's
comedy. Yeah.
money.
All right. A few
By the
non
way, you asked me that last week about um like
comedians.
favorite comedian, right?
Yeah.
Now I think I mentioned Chappelle and um Mitch Hedberg. I tell you that story,
Yeah.
and I was trying to remember, and then Nate
Bargatze was, yeah.
Bargatze, yeah. The Chris Rock special when he sat on it for about a year and he is explaining the whole Will Smith
Uh-huh.
thing and getting slapped. What was it, the Grammys or the Academy Awards or what? I can't remember what it was.
I don't remember which
What
one it was. Yeah.
Oscars? I can't remember what he was hosting one of those award shows. I can't remember what it was, but and he, obviously Will Smith walked up there and hit
Hmm.
him, whatever. And him doing that and all that was a drop the mic moment, man. That was some the funniest, most realist stuff I have ever consumed. So I wanted to make sure that, yeah, I didn't slight Chris Rock there. But good for
Throw
you
that
for
one out there.
slipping up and
Putting us-
not saying Kid Rock right out of the gate.
No kidding. All right. Let's get a couple of non-basketball questions before we close it down. This one comes from Case and it says, Level, why did so many Red Raiders sit out of the Senior Bowl? I was kind of looking forward to watching it.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is because they've done so well in the practices. I think a lot of these guys are taking advice from agents, and this is just the way it's.
Yeah.
Those of us that like to consume sports hate these decisions, like opting out of a bowl game,
Right.
opting out of an all-star game, whatever. This is just the reality of the times, and there's so much money at stake, and the precedent's been set. It's not gonna. These guys won't. I just think, hey man, I did enough, kind of deal, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. I'm not gonna go run at the combine. Well, if you feel like you don't need to, or you don't need to play in that game and put yourself in harm's way. I mean, nobody's. We may be going. Oh man, I want a competitor. Well, things are different now.
Yeah.
And some of it's good, some of it's not so good. I mean, but this is the reality of what we're all dealing with here.
It's different times. Different
Yeah,
times.
yeah.
Okay,
'Cause that
here's
was
a
if you want my, what my biggest fear was
what's
with
that?
last year's football season, and it was never realized, thankfully. And I would have the same thing with what you've put together this year. My my fear is that okay, what happens if you just miss on the Big 12 title game?
Hmm.
Or you go to the title game and then lose. Like how many guys would say no bowl game for me?
Yeah.
Because I think the way your roster is built,
Hmm.
I mean, it could be substantial. And and then some may sit there and go, well, yeah, if you didn't make the Big 12 title game, I don't really care. I'm not really worried about the exhibition known as the Liberty Bowl or the
Yeah.
Pop-Tart Bowl or whatever. I don't know, but that's also a sign of the times and how much is whereas like BYU last year, that I think pretty much had everybody play in the bowl game. So anyway, but
Sure.
that's I just wondered. I don't know, but got that guys like David Bailey and some of these dudes, man, that have everything to lose. And like this year, Sorsby and some of these other guys that it's like so I don't know. I
Yeah.
just throwing that out there.
This
I'm a
question,
worrier. I'm just a worrier. I just worry about stuff.
you do worry, but that's all right. You worry enough for both of us. I probably
Okay,
should
gotcha.
worry a little more. This question actually comes from Chris to Chris. Says, is CJ Ayu going to the NFL? I've seen his name with rumors. If he does, who replaces him?
Yeah, I wish I could tell you what was going to happen there at the time we're talking about. I think that there's probably some serious, I don't know if like fear or worry. I think that CJ's I'm not so sure he's not the best assistant coach you have over there, which is a mouthful.
Hmm.
I think he's really good at what he does, and I think Joey would tell you he's so good. I'll be shocked if he doesn't get one of these NFL opportunities. And if he doesn't, I think what you're seeing now is matter of time.
Yeah.
As far as replacement goes, your guess is as good as mine. Don't have any idea what direction you would go, and I'm sure Joey would, you tap into the Shield Wood thing, I mean, like what tree or what recommended, but you would have quite the opportunity. I will also tell you, Woodman, I know that they're not asking about this, but I'm almost fully expecting for Zarnell Fitch to go to USC. So you could lose both of your defensive line coaches after this one. Zarnell Fitch had been a lot of smoke in the last 2 weeks,
Hmm.
maybe longer, about him rejoining Gary Patterson. Zarnell is a TCU grad and kind of played at TCU and was around Gary Patterson, and Gary Patterson's now going to work for Lincoln Riley there in Los Angeles, and I think it's pretty clear that Zarnell may be headed out west. So we'll see what.
Hmm.
Nothing official yet, but I think we'll see. So this none of this will catch Joey by surprise. I'll just say that.
Yeah. And you and I sat here and talked. I don't know if it was last episode or the episode before, but someone asked a question if you were in the clear, and at the time you were, but this coaching cycle, it always
That's
continues.
it's part of. And some would say, well, I mean, these guys had really good players. So, I mean, if you just have really good players, you can. There's some truth to that. But you had guys that squeezed a lot out of your defensive line. But
Sure.
this is what happens when you go win 12 games. They want, but this is also happens when you have potentially like a relationship with like Gary Patterson and Zarnell
Yeah.
Fitch kind of, came up and all those things. So,
I
anyway,
mean,
there you go. There'll be, I'll just leave it at this. There'll be more to say about these situations in the coming weeks. I'll just leave it at that.
there we go. We'll bring them up in the coming weeks. All right, last question, Level. Um, Favorite Super Bowl memory as we get Super Bowl week coming up that you won't watch the whole thing of.
Growing up a Cowboy fan, it was probably, I mean, 52-17, Cowboys over Bills. I think Whitney Houston sang the national anthem and Michael Jackson did the halftime, and it was in the Rose Bowl. Do I have that all right? I
Yes.
mean, that
No, I
was
think that's
church.
all the same. Yeah.
That was church to me. I mean, like
Yeah.
every bit of it. I mean, because I'm a big, Whitney Houston's music makes me, I like listening to it. Even years, it's R.I.P. Michael Jackson, same way.
Yeah.
They were some different things going on in personal lives and all that as they got
Sure.
older,
Sure.
whatever. But
Okay.
global icons, and
Oh
then my
yeah.
favorite team just worked over. And was that the same game that Leon Lett had the ball get knocked out of his hands at the end? My man Leon Lett, he had the whole
Yeah.
Miami Dolphin Thanksgiving Day in the snow moment too.
Yeah. I
But
think
yeah,
you might be right.
that was probably my jam
Solid.
back then.
It's a pretty good pick. Pretty good pick
Yeah.
there. Yeah. All
I bet
right.
you weren't getting national anthem and halftime artists mentioned too, but
I
okay.
wasn't expecting it, but
We're about to run out of time.
that was solid. Level,
Yeah,
good stuff. We'll talk on the other side of a win next time. We'll go ahead and write that down.
sounds
That's
good.
Chris Level. I'm Choice Woodman. It's been the Ask Level podcast, powered by the Double T Sports Network.
You've been listening to the Ask Level podcast, powered by the Double T Sports Network. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons for more great content from all of our shows on the Double T Sports Network.